You ever pull up to a private jet or get waved toward a gate and absolutely have no idea what to say or where you're supposed to go? Well, that was me not too long ago, standing there fumbling through letters and numbers while I clearly looked like I'd never done this before, because, honestly, I hadn't. And if you're driving Uber Black or private black car service, the moment is going to come for you too, unless you know this stuff before you pull up. Today, I'm going to break down exactly how private airport pickups and drop-offs actually work, what an FBO even is, what those tail numbers mean and how to say them like you've done this 100 times, how tracking really works, including something that almost nobody tells you about, and both sides of the job, picking someone up off a jet and dropping someone off to board one. This is the stuff that makes you look like you've been doing this for years, even if it's your first run. FBO stands for Fixed Based Operator. It's the private side of the airport, a separate facility from the commercial terminal where general aviation and charter flights operate. No TSA checkpoints, no baggage carousels, no boarding announcements, just a small building, usually with a lounge, some kind of check-in point, and direct access out the ramp where the aircraft is parked. Here in Jacksonville at JAX, you got Shell Air Aviation and Signature Aviation. So right here you got Signature Aviation. Now this one you got an FBO lobby, so you kind of just drop them off right there. They might have access to the tarmac, as you'll see that fence doesn't go through, but I'm about to show you Shell Air Aviation. This is the one right here to where you'll go onto the tarmac, so they're all different. At Craig Airport, CRG, you got Sky Harbor and JAG Executive Jet Center. Every one of these operates independently, even at the same airport. That matters because your reservation needs to tell you not just the airport, but which specific FBO. Show up at the wrong one and you could be 15 minutes from where you actually need to be. Private flights use FBOs instead of the main terminal for speed, privacy, and flexibility. A jet lands, taxis straight to the private ramp, and the passenger can be in the car within minutes. No commercial airport infrastructure involved. Now the tail number, officially called the N number in the US. It's the license plate for that one specific aircraft assigned by the FAA. First, the country prefix. Every US registered aircraft starts with an N, and that's not random. Under international aviation agreements, every country gets its own prefix. Canada uses C, the UK uses G, Germany uses D, and France uses F. You see that N and you know it's a US aircraft. Second, the registration number itself. Up to 5 more characters after the N following strict FAA rules. All digits. N, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 to 4 digits plus 1 letter. N, 1, 2, 3, 4, Z. 1 to 3 digits plus 2 letters. N, 1, 2, 3, AB. The letters I and O are never used. They look too much like a 1 and 0. The first character after the N is always 1 through 9, never a 0. And N1 through N99 are reserved for FAA internal use only, so you'll never get dispatched one of those. And some owners actually request specific numbers, almost like a vanity plate. Bill Gates' aircraft is registered NA87WM. WM are his initials. So sometimes those last couple letters mean something specific to the owner. One more thing worth knowing. Before 1949, aircraft had a second letter right after the N showing the category. NC was for standard commercial. NX was for experimental. NR was for restricted. And NL was limited. The FAA stopped issuing those, but some older aircraft still legally display them. If you ever see a NC1234 instead of just a N1234, that's an older style registration, not a mistake. And here's something that matters day to day. How you say that tail number out loud without sounding like you're new to this. Pilots, FBO staff, and dispatchers never read letters normally. They use the ICAO Phonetic Alphabet, so nothing gets confused over radio or a busy phone line. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Sierra, Tango, Uniform, Victor, Whiskey, X-Ray, Yankee, and Zulu. So if your reservation says tail number N425KJ, you don't say N425KJ like a license plate. You say November 425 Kilo Juliet. Every digit spoken individually and every letter using the phonetic word. That one habit is the single biggest thing that separates a driver who sounds experienced from one who doesn't. Now, before you head to any private airport job, lock in 3 things: the tail number, the specific FBO, and the estimated arrival or departure time. Private flights don't run on a public schedule the way commercial flights do. The standard move is to track the tail number using something like FlightAware. Type in the N number and watch the exact craft in real time and see if it's early, delayed, or diverted. But here's the part that almost nobody teaches new drivers. Not every tail number will actually show up. The FAA runs a program called LAD, Limiting Aircraft Data Displays, previously called BAR. That lets any aircraft owner request that their tail number be blocked from public flight tracking sites entirely. This is extremely common for corporate flight departments, executives, and high network clients. Exactly the passengers you're going to be pick up and during this line of work. So if you punch in a tail number and nothing comes up, that doesn't mean the flight isn't real or that you got bad information. It means that aircraft is blocked from public tracking. In that case, you can't rely on the app. So you call the FBO directly or your dispatcher and you confirm the ETA that way. Professional ground transportation operators treat direct FBO or flight crew confirmation as the real source of truth, with tracking apps as a backup when they happen to work, never the other way around. When you're picking someone up off a landed flight, arrive at that FBO ahead of that aircraft's estimated touchdown. Most FBOs have some kind of check-in point, where you use that phonetic tail number to confirm which arrival you're there for. And here's the reality check a lot of new drivers get wrong. They assume they'll drive right onto the ramp right next to the plane. Most of the time, that's not how it works for standard black car or Uber Black drivers. Actual ramp access, your vehicle physically driving out next to the aircraft, usually requires the FBO to have insurance documentation on file for your company, sometimes a background check, and sometimes a formal security escort. So unless your company has the pre-clearance set up, what actually happens most nights is this. The passenger deplanes, walks through the FBO lobby, and you're staged right outside with your vehicle ready, often with the FBO's own ramp crew called linemen helping move the luggage into your trunk. The other half of the job is dropping a client off to aboard a private flight, and that works differently than a commercial drop-off. For a domestic charter flight, there's typically no TSA checkpoint at all. What a passenger needs is a valid government-issued photo ID or a passport if it's international. Timing is tighter here too. Most FBOs want the passenger arriving 15 to 30 minutes before their departure, not the hour plus you build in for a commercial flight. So on a drop-off, you're working with a much shorter window than you're probably used to. And when you pull up, FBO staff typically direct you to where to park. You help with the luggage, and the passenger, they walk into the FBO. And from there, either the FBO staff or the flight crew walks them out to the aircraft. Unless your vehicle has ramp clearance, your job ends at an FBO door. Their ground crew takes it from there and loading bags directly into the aircraft's cargo hold. And here's some mistakes that give away an inexperienced driver. 1. Relying on a scheduled time instead of tracking the tail number. 2. Not knowing that a blocked tail number exists and assuming a flight isn't real just because it doesn't show up in the app. 3. Fumbling through the tail number letter by letter instead of using the phonetic alphabet. 4. Assuming that you can drive straight onto the ramp without your company having pre-cleared that access. 5. Not confirming which specific FBO you're headed to, since one airport could have 2 or 3 operating independently. And then 6. Treating a drop-off like a commercial flight and having your client arrive way too early. Private departures don't need that. 15 to 30 minutes before wheels up is normal. So if you're building in extra time like you would for a commercial flight, you're just making your client sit around for no reason. So let me know, did you already know about block tail numbers? Or did that catch you off guard too? Drop a comment and tell me how you handle your private airport pickups. I want to hear it. And if you're serious about getting into Uber Black or starting your own private black car service, that's exactly what I break down inside my Patreon. It's $29 a month. Link is in the description. Remember, drive better, drive smarter, and drive without the frustrations.